So in today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you a little bit about leadership and how I went from being a horrible leader where I didn't really know how to answer questions when employees asked for time off, they weren't performing, they were showing up late to meetings, and all those different things that people deal with when you have a team. And I'm going to show you how I learned how to become a great leader where I know exactly what to say, how I can correct bad behavior, and know whether or not this is the right person or the wrong person. So this is a whole story, and this all came to me today when I was talking to one of our client success managers, Ryan. And Ryan was talking to me and he was like, Chandler, like, I want to learn about how to become a better leader of people and manage teams, not just salespeople, but just teams in general of people. I said, like, Ryan, what do you mean specifically by that? And he basically told me that he was like, well, what do I do if people are showing up late to meetings? And then if someone's like not performing basically as well as they should be? And so obviously it's a two-part question, but I'm going to break this down for you and answer it pretty simply. So there's three main ways that I see leadership kind of playing out. So you have like the activity side of it. So just like, is activity good or bad? That's one thing that's like showing up to meetings on time. That is, are you hitting your calls number or not? That kind of stuff. Then you have what I call the performance side of it. And that's just like, hey, are you maybe not converting your calls to appointments? Maybe your offers aren't converting to contracts. You're not producing revenue for the company like you should be. That's the second type. The third type is going to be a team epidemic. This is your third scenario of leadership. And so I'm going to break down each one, how this all works, but I'm going to tell you that it's going to be pretty important for you to learn these exact tactics if you ever want to grow a team to make $100,000 a month or more in your business, whether it's real estate, whether it's any other business in the world. If you're dealing with people, you got to become good with people, which you guys already are because you're good at sales. So all we got to do is channel that sales knowledge, sales skills into leadership skills, which all it takes is just a reframing of mind. And so the biggest fundamental skill that I had to learn was getting on the same side of the fence as your person, as your employee on your team. If you can't get on the same side of the fence as them, it's going to be like you're attacking them and they're going to resent you because you're like trying to pull them over the fence instead of trying to hop over together. And so what we do, I take this principle for every situation, is it's always us trying to figure it out, not me being like, why do you suck so bad? Why can't you guys be good? No, it's me like, hey, how can I help you get over the fence? That's the frame. So the first thing, like I said, is if activities are off, if someone's showing up late to meetings, let's just take the late for meetings approach because that's a very easy one. It's not easy because it's a hard conversation, but it's very simple and easy to solve. And so all I do is if someone is showing up late to meetings, someone's not hitting their calls number, is I just basically have a conversation with them about the situation as soon as I realize it's a problem. And when I realize it's a problem is like 2 days after it has happened twice in a row. So if someone misses their call number twice in a row, 2 days in a row, someone shows up late to a meeting 2 days in a row, I'm gonna have this conversation with them. Here's what I'm gonna say, hey John, can you, like, I don't do this in front of the whole team. In my opinion, I like to do this. It's like, hey John, could you stay with me like on the call just for a little bit longer? I gotta talk to you. Cool. Stay on Zoom. Everyone else leaves. Hey John, I noticed that you've been showing up a little bit late to meetings the last couple of days. And I just was a little bit curious, like, if there's anything going on in your personal life or just in work, like it's a little bit busy, where it was preventing you from showing up on time. Is there something I can do to like help you out in that scenario? And then they're going to basically open up to you and tell you a couple things. Hey, nothing's wrong. I just need to show up on time. That's on me. That's what's likely going to happen. 2, yes, I had my girlfriend break up with me. Now I'm super sad. And like, now you have to empathize with them just like you would a seller, just like what you would with anyone who you're trying to sell, and like make them feel heard, make them feel understood, all those kind of things. And then you can basically, once you've kind of flushed that out, now it's just about, hey, I know it's super important. It is really important for us and the team that we show up on time at the meeting at 9:00 sharp, just so we can get things rolling. Is that something that you can commit to doing from here on out? Yeah, you can. Okay, sweet. And if it's calls, just replace, instead of showing up to the meeting on time, hey, like, is it something that you can do, committing to making 100 calls per day? Is that something you think you can do? Yeah, because like we both agree that that's going to be what gets you more of the result you want, makes you more money, whatever their why is, right? You need to understand this in order to actually have success in leadership. Is you got to understand people's why and what makes them work and what makes them tick. If you don't, then how are you going to ever relate to them, right? Most of you guys have been watching my YouTube channel for quite a while now and probably know that I have an accelerator program that's made for people who want to pay to grow their business faster. And so since we've helped over 150 clients scale their wholesale business to multiple six and multiple seven figures per year, we've been able to really see what works. And we just redesigned our entire product to create a copy and paste system that our clients are using to scale their businesses extremely quickly. And so this system is really designed to pull you out of the day-to-day and make you a manager of the business. So there's going to be things like, getting KPIs installed, getting your sales process going, having the MLS strategy installed, hiring an admin, hiring a lead manager, how to onboard these people, and just having a copy and paste system. And then we also are going to take you through getting your financials in order so you have a lot of clarity on like what your business actually does. So you're not stressed on how you spend money and where the marketing money goes and when's it coming back and all that kind of stuff. We're going to take you through exactly how to hire a copy and paste strategy on how to hire your first acquisition manager. Because I know that's the hardest part of business is getting yourself out of that sales seat. So we take you through that, how to onboard that person, etc. How to do the same thing for Dispo, how to do the same thing for TC, whatever it may be. And these copy and paste SOPs will change the foundation and the infrastructure of your business forever. And so I'll keep it brief, but if this is something that you are remotely interested in and how we would scale your company to $100,000 per month, allowing you to work less, then all you need to do is go down below this video, click the link below, fill out some brief info, and show up to that call. And with that being said, we will hop right back into the video. So that's scenario one, very simple scenario, but it happens all the time. And what I see is people let these things drag on. My team sucks. They never show up on time. They don't do the work. And then we, as business owners, I've done this. I've done it. We literally just let this happen over and over and over again until we're like, man, I can't believe my team's so bad. Like they never make any calls. They never do the work that I asked them to do. All these different things never happen. Okay, well, it's because you let it happen. And Tony Robbins said, this literally hit me so hard. And this is what took me from being the person who just kind of like didn't know how to handle the situation. I was like, man, my team sucks. Like, why can't I just find good people? To I know now how to fix people and turn them around immediately. It's just like the standard you hold people to is the standard they're going to fall to. So if you let someone show up late to a meeting or miss their calls number every single day, that tells everyone else on the team that it's okay. Whether it's subconscious, people aren't inherently like, I'm going to miss my calls today because, I hate this company. No, they're like, it's like, there was no consequence. There was nothing that happened that basically there's no standard held. So when you hold people to that, hit the 100 calls number, show up to the meeting on time, whatever is important to you, and you got to hold the line on these things that are important to you, then your team is going to immediately shift and change and know that, oh shit, like Chandler really cares about that. We got to make sure we do that. So that's number one. Number two leadership point is performance. And so I'm actually going to share my screen for this one because I feel like this is such an important thing that I want you guys just to be able to see this. So if performance is down, again, I have a 3-step process that I use in order to basically achieve any goal you want. And I took this, and this is the way I found this out and like realized that this process would work is my lead management team was setting appointments. I think they were doing like 140 calls to an appointment or something like this. This is like 3 years ago. And I was like, man, that's like, I feel like that's a bad because we weren't getting that many appointments. I was like, well, how can we like get that number down? And the reason I chose that number is because it's like a batting average too, calls per appointment. It's like a batting average for a sales rep, for a lead manager. It's like, how do we get that calls per appointment number down to like 50? That would get us 3 times more appointments. And so I started like thinking about it. And I realized that one of my sales reps was there already. So we already knew someone who was doing it. We knew it was possible. We just had to get the rest of the team up to that standard, to that performance level. So basically I was like, how do I get good at shit? I was like, because I tend to get good at things kind of quick. So like, how do I do this? And what I realized was that every time I've ever achieved any goal that was worth achieving, I had a 3-step process, which was basically I sit down, I think about what's my goal, what do I want to happen. So in this scenario, if I'm a lead manager, my goal would be just, I want to set an appointment a day or 2 appointments a day, whatever the number is. Well, what am I doing right now? Well, right now, I'm not doing that. I'm doing like 3 a week. And my calls per appointment is like 150. I really want my calls per appointment to be 50 calls per 1 appointment. So I got 3 times my improvement. All right. Well, I know where I'm at. Number one, I know where I'm at very clearly. I know where I want to go very clearly. And now I just need to know a plan to get from point A to point B. And this is where the money's made, is making the plan and executing the plan. If If you can't execute the plan, then don't even make the plan in the first place because it's pointless. So you got to make the plan and then do it perfectly. That's why we spend, like Abraham Lincoln said, if I had 8 hours to chop down a tree, I'd spend 7 hours sharpening my axe. So let's make the plan and let's execute it perfectly. It's really simple. So when we bridge the gap, the thing I'd ask is like, what are 3 things, or what are some things that you think are the most important things that keep you from setting appointments? And they start listing them out. And the first things I hear are, oh, the leads aren't that good and this and that. And like people don't really want to sell and yada, yada, yada. And I'm like, okay, well, what about the people? And like, you got to get over this. This is where sales comes in as a leader. It's like, well, what about those scenarios where sellers don't like kind of rush you off the phone? They seem to have a little bit of motivation, but for whatever reason, they just don't like book the call. Like, what are some reasons you think those people don't necessarily get set to an appointment? And they're like, well, I think some of it's like maybe, and I don't follow the process perfectly on my script. And then maybe a little bit of my tonality. I think some of those things. And I'm like, well, what about like, do you think like building any kind of like rapport or like any kind of good questions? Like, do you think any like advanced questioning, stuff like that, and rapport would help? And like, yeah, I don't really like know how to like really build a relationship or a connection that well with sellers. I just kind of feel like it just glosses over it and then the call's over. I'm like, okay. So then we establish the 3 things. So I'm establishing the 3 things that I want to do in order to reach my desired outcome. And so that's super simple. Everyone can kind of follow that, right? Okay. So now that we have 3 things, sales process, you're not following the script perfectly. Your tonality is a little bit off, you think. And then the actual, your questioning and your rapport building is a little bit off as well. Okay. So now next question I'd ask them is, hey, John, what do you think like you could do to like maybe get better at the script and the sales process? Oh, well, I mean, I probably could I could probably like listen to some sales calls, maybe like listen to someone who's good on the team. And then maybe if I listen to my own calls, I think that could maybe work. Okay. Write those out. Boom, boom, boom. And then the next one is like, well, what about like tonality? Do you think those 2 solutions would solve that? Yeah, I do. Okay, cool. And then do you think that would help with like diving into motivation? Well, yeah, I think if I like maybe role played some too, like that would probably help. Okay, so I'm going quick, but so if we role played, we listened to our own calls, and then we listened to someone on the team who's better than us, and listen to their calls. You think those 3 things would help you implement and get better at the issues you're having? Yeah, I do. Okay, cool. Well, like, how frequent do you think you should do these things? Like maybe like every day, like once a day, twice a day, 3 times? Like, what are you thinking? And they're like, oh, I think if I did each of those once a day, that'd take me like 20 minutes. I think I'd get pretty good at them. Okay, cool. So like, let's meet back in a month and like review exactly what we're talking now. We're going to put a weekly call on the calendar. And just a deep dive. I'm here to help you with those 3 areas that you want to improve on. So I'll meet with you every week to go and do an advanced training, but I need you to commit to doing those 3 activities every day between when we meet. Is that something you can commit to doing? Yeah, for sure. It's something I can commit to doing. And then boom, I had the exact conversation with every single one of our lead managers, which was 4, and our calls per appointment went from 150 to, I think as a team, we got down to 70 in 30 days. So it means we set twice as many appointments from not doing anything else besides just having this simple little exercise, going through with each person and executing it. That was it. And we did it 2 months in a row, and our calls per appointment got down to 45 as a team. Wow, crazy, right? But it's literally that simple. So you just got to replicate the things you do in your head to get better and help get that into other people's heads and basically help them get to where they want to go, help them achieve their goals. So that's number 2. Number 3 is if the entire team is basically got tons of bad habits, they're kind of off the rails. Let's just say, for example, your sales team, your entire sales team is just not doing a good job, just completely fumbling the bag. Like I had a situation with our dispo team one time where things just weren't tight. They weren't managing the transactions the way that they needed to be managed. They didn't talk to the sellers the way that they needed to talk to them. They didn't follow up with the sellers when they needed to follow up with them. They didn't cold call all the buyers that they should have called. They didn't do the things that were required to the level of detail that were required. And simply put, it's my fault. I was the reason that they were not doing those things because I wasn't holding them accountable to it. I didn't have any processes in place. I didn't have any systems in place. I didn't have a meeting structure in place. Literally, that's what I teach people to do. And I didn't have any of this shit. And this is just the reality of how business works. So, anyways, I remember um, I had this day where I was like, dude, I'm just like, I'm literally talking exactly how I was earlier. It's like, my team sucks. I need new people. These guys can't perform. Why can't they perform? Wow, they were so good like 6 months ago. Like, what happened? Like, why are we blowing up now? No one, like, we're in the winter months. We can't sell anything. Just deals aren't moving. Everything was negative. And I had to realize that, oh, when I have these negative thoughts, it affects the team negatively because I carry that over into any kind of meeting or conversation we have. And so I realized that, and I had to change it. So what I did was I had a meeting that I call the Great Reset. And so in this Great Reset, basically what we did was I took the blame for everything that was happening. Said, hey guys, basically what's been going on is like we have not been running that tight of a ship. And we've let things fall through the cracks. I gave a couple examples like, this deal fell through, this seller backed out, this, and this. All that happened because I didn't have any process in place. I didn't have any systems in place for us to actually know what we were supposed to do when we were supposed to do it. So it's not your guys' fault. Y'all were doing the job as it was said to be done, as it was built previously. But we're going to have to rebuild that and set things up in a different way in order to get a different result. Because you guys aren't happy with the way things are running right now, right? No, we don't like this. This is not running smoothly. This is not running efficiently. Okay, cool. So this is my fault. This is my plan. This is what I want to happen, and this is how I'm going to make it happen. So what I want to happen is I want us to be tight, and I want us to never have a deal fall through on Dispo. That is our fault. If a deal doesn't pencil, it's because of a different reason completely. Whether acquisitions locked it up too high, because of the condition, because of whatever other reasons, title, whatever. If it's in our control, which even I would argue, and I'm telling this to them, this is on script, even if a deal is locked up too high, there is something on Dispo that we can do. And we need to make sure that we do everything in our power to make these deals convert into revenue, and no deals on our watch, on our dime, on our responsibility are falling through. Is that understood? You guys want that to happen? Yeah, we definitely want that to happen. Okay, cool. So you guys agree that we need to make this happen? Here's my plan. So I stayed up all night last night building this process out. Let's go through it together. I'm not going to go through it right now, but let's go through it together after I talk about this. We're going to get on the same page about how we need to handle the situation from seller getting a contract signed to deal getting closed at the end of escrow. And we're going to go through each individual part, what we need to do, how we need to say it, what's the timeline, how do we organize it, all this stuff. We're going to go through it. And I am going to be extremely anal about this process being followed perfectly until it's done perfectly and I don't have to worry about it anymore. Whether that's 1 week, 2 weeks, a month, whatever it is, I'm going to listen to your guys' calls. I'm going to review the pipeline in Salesforce. I'm going to review the notes you guys take, whatever it is. I'm going to be reviewing it all meticulously and sending you guys screenshots of it in Discord every time something's wrong, because that's the standard we're going to hold. We're going to do this great. If we're not going to do it great, it's not even worth doing. Is that something you guys can be on board with? Yes, it is. Okay, cool. And then we went through the process. We went through the training. We did that for the next hour. And what do you know? As soon as we did that, the Dispo's team performance just shot through the roof over the next 3 months, because it literally the next day we came into the meeting, it was like things were perfect. Like we have a pipeline meeting every week. And as soon as we had that change, the team was just dialed. They just came to the meetings, dialed in, knew exactly what was going on. Nothing was falling through the cracks. If it was, very rarely, it was already like, there's like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I let that. Don't worry about it. It's not going to happen again. Nothing's going to fall through the cracks. Boom. Things just started getting cleaned up. And I was no longer just running around being a crack catcher and like being like, oh, like why this buyer not get called? Why this guy? Like, that's not a helpful conversation. I can't micromanage a team like this. Like, these are grown ass adults. Let's step up as leaders and guide people to the place that they want to go. So basically, those are my 3 pillars of leadership. You got the activity ones, just correct it right away. Don't wait, correct it right away. You got the performance ones, which I like to correct mostly on a monthly basis, monthly performance, and then figure it out from there. And that's super important. That if you don't do that, don't let your team know that you're on their side, then, I mean, honestly, like, what are you doing? The third thing is you have the Great Reset. And that's if the whole team is just kind of a shit show. It's like, this is too far gone. You got to just have the whole reset with the team. And I promise you, light a fire into their ass and light a fire under your ass, everything will get fixed. So when you do this, this will free up your time because now your team will be doing things more without you, more autonomously. Your team will make you more money, which means you will be more profitable. You will have less risk. You will be able to go and do the things you want to do, take the days off you want to take off, do whatever it is because your team's got your back because they know you care about them. And then this will also allow you to basically focus on the things that you love in the business and the skills that you're really, really naturally good at, whether that's building relationships, whether it's training your sales team, whatever it is, raising money, doing deals, being like a project manager on a flip. I don't know, like whatever you guys like, whatever gets you going, playing golf, go and do it. That's what being a great leader allows you to do because it gives you a skill set that's way more leveraged than cold calling sellers, for example. So with that being said, I hope this was valuable. If it was, feel free to leave a comment down below. Let me know your biggest takeaway. And I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.